Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. All kinds of family, we chose this one. This is episode 204, The Fate of the Furious, Lap 9. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by Jacob and Jakob, the ice cream makers. In 2011, two uncompromising, passionate people with a passion for taste agreed to make ice cream from the best Michelin-star restaurants in Europe available to everyone. Shout out to Jacob and Jakob. Jacob and Jakob ice cream. It looks pretty good.
Shout out to them, and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. After the break, we'll be joined by Brian Slumber Party Late Night Rodriguez to talk about Fate of the Furious. But Joe, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we last recorded?
Last weekend, I took Rachel to Legoland, New York. I had planned to take her because she really likes Legos. I surprised her because her parents actually wanted to go with us, and I didn't tell her that they would show up, so we arrived in New Jersey on Friday, and they surprised her at a restaurant and just joined us. And so Saturday we went to Legoland, and it was a whole lot of fun. They had obviously a bunch of big Lego buildings and stuff, and there's rides. I mean, mainly it's an amusement park for kids, but I think it's a fun thing. So
is it indoor or outdoor?
It's outdoor. It's
okay.
an actual amusement park.
In the city or not in the city?
It's in Goshen, New York. We were staying in New Jersey. Was it Ramsey, Mahwah?
All right, my old stomping ground. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, right under. I saw Ramapo under the thing, so very close to there. Yeah, so it's on a big kind of campus place. I thought it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of I mean, obviously they have every Lego thing in the store, and one of the cool things that they have is Lego Master Season 1, which we've talked about. Their prize for winning Lego Master Season 1 was their final project got put in the big Lego store in Legoland, New York.
Oh, cool.
So you get to see the thing that they made at the end that they won with. One of the cool things that they do, kind of like Disney, is they do, instead of pin trading, they do miniature figurine trading.
Sure.
So all the little Lego guys, you can bring your Lego guys from home that you don't want, and you can trade with the people that work at the park and all over the park. And get new ones. So Rachel got a little kid that had a baseball glove and all kinds of fun accessories, and made some of her own because they have a build your own Lego guy. Overall, just a great weekend. Also, then I went to this really weird place that I want to talk about because it was very strange. It felt very, very weird to me. We were looking for a sushi place, and apparently no sushi places around there serve alcohol. Big no from us. So we found this place that Rachel's stepdad has apparently been to before called Mount Fuji. Okay, that's kind of
I've been there.
You've been there, up the hill?
Mm-hmm. Larson had a birthday party there when we were in college.
That's wild. This place felt like Hotel California to me. I had to ask the bartender, how and why this exists. It doesn't sound like it's that crazy, but it's a hibachi restaurant that's way up this hill. You have to be going here. It's there's nothing else there. There's nothing else around it, and it's huge. And you could have a wedding there if you wanted to. Obviously birthday parties and stuff, but that's pretty on par for it. But it's this huge place. I asked the bartender what this was, and he said in the 80s it was a motel, and then this guy bought it, and because he had a hibachi restaurant. And you're no longer allowed to build anything on this mountain, so it's the only thing on this mountain, and it has all these panoramic windows, and it's just it was awesome, but it also feels very weird. I felt it was being run by a ghost, and I also don't know if it's real or not. You confirming that you've been there as well is helpful, but if you told me no, I've never heard of this place ever, what are you talking about? I wouldn't not believe you. That was pretty much it. That was my weekend. Watching sports and stuff. How about you?
I put this on Twitter, so you might have seen this, and some listeners might have seen this, but I went to the movies last Thursday night and had quite an ordeal. So
no,
I
didn't
go
see
and
this. Tell me.
I see
oh, yes. I
Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, which is really fun.
Yes.
And it's in the Dolby Theater, so it's great sound and everything, whatever.
Yep.
After that movie is over, I have tickets to go see a ticket to see Titan,
which you've been waiting for.
Which I've been waiting for. And so I go into the theater, and the sound sounds like it's in stereo rather than all around. It just sounds kind of like it's through a tin cup. Imagine the best way I can describe it is you have a surround sound setup, and all of a sudden the TV is playing sound. Just like I can hear it, but this is not what it should be.
Yep.
So I got to the lobby, and there's no employees around because it's AMC and they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I go up to the girl checking tickets at the front gate, and I'm just like, "Hey, I think there's a problem with the sound in Theater 9 or whatever it was." And she's like, "Oh, I think we know about that, but I'll let somebody know." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so it's already like in the trailers when I get there, because I'm like, maybe the commercials sort of suck, like the Maria Menounos thing or whatever, but these are the trailers. I'm just like, this,
Yeah.
it seems weird.
Yep.
So I wait for another 2 trailers, 3 trailers or whatever, because before Carnage, there were 28 minutes or something between the time that like showtime and the movie actually started. So like,
Yeah.
I know nothing but time, but like it's AMC's taking advantage. So
Yeah. 28 minutes is, come on, man.
it
Like,
was terrible.
15 is like you're pushing it, but I get it. Whatever. You have to do your job, but
Because now they have a thing where like they paid Nicole Kidman like 50, or they have like this 15 or 25 million. I don't think they paid her all that money, but they have like this ad campaign where it's like, we're returning to the movies and the movies are great. And it's like she goes into this empty theater and she's like watching these movies. And so after all the trailers, after all the like, go buy your Coca-Cola or whatever, you also now have to watch Nicole Kidman be like, hey, the movies are great. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, I know I'm here.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so infuriating. So
okay.
I watch the trailer. I go back out. I'm like, hey, it still isn't fixed. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. There's nothing. Like, you can go talk to customer, like guest services. And like, I had gotten, with the rewards, the AMC rewards that I have.
Yeah.
I had got a soda and a popcorn. I'm like, I don't want, like, I'm lugging this around. And I'm just like, I don't. All right. So I go to the customer service. And there's this other guy who like, gets there at the same time. He's just like, are you in Teton? I'm like, yeah. And we're both like, yeah, the sound sucks. Like, you can hear it, but like, it's not what it should be.
Yeah, and this is going to be a shitty experience. Yeah.
She's like, okay, hold on. I'm like, I don't want to exaggerate this, but like, I've been looking forward to this movie for like a year. And I think it's weird that you guys know that there's like a sound issue in this theater and you're still showing movies in there. Like, I get you have to do what you have to do, but like, what's going on? So she's like, okay, hold on. So she goes to the back and she comes out with like comped tickets, like an extra movie ticket, which means nothing to me because
you have AMC guest list anyways or whatever.
Yep,
So yeah,
I gave it to a friend, and then she also gave me a drink and a popcorn. So like that's all sorted out. So I'm like, that's fine. But I'm like, okay, I need to go. There's a movie theater that's very nice, that's near my house, like 5 minutes away. I suppose this one that's like 20 minutes away, but it's
you have to pay for tickets.
I have to pay for tickets.
Yeah.
And I go there, and the ticket is $15.50, which is for a standard, regular ticket, which is absurd. That's the most I've ever paid.
Yeah.
The good news is that a couple years ago, I had gotten my parents a gift card to this place. Because I'm like, I don't have to get them for Christmas. I'll get them a movie theater gift card.
They never used it and gave it to you?
They used it once, and they're like, hey, we're moving. Here's the gift card. I'm like, cool. So I used it for one other thing. So this is the second one. I think it's like basically empty now or whatever. But anyway, I didn't really I paid for it, but I paid for it like 2 years ago. But still, $15.50 is insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, I go to this movie. Love the movie. It's insane. I don't know if you would like it or not. I don't know if we should do it for the show or not. It's my favorite movie of the year. Oh God, it's so violent and so weird. And it's already like largely out of theaters. Like there's like one showtime now in like big, but like I am so blown away that this will be in mainstream movie theaters because like it is so intense and so aggressively French that like people are going to go in there and like not know what this is, and they're going to get like very confused, and it's very funny to me.
Okay.
But I loved it. I think it's amazing, and I think so. I said to you at one point that there's no dialogue. There is dialogue, but the main character does not speak for most of the movie. But there is dialogue in the movie, so like that at least won't scare you off in that way. But man, Teton fucking rules. So loved it. So I'm glad I was worth me like trekking to, basically driving home, but going to a different movie theater because like I had to see this movie not in like, because especially with like the way that my brain works, I'd be like, I would just be sitting there angry in the seat the entire time. Like, I don't want to see it like this. Like, God damn it. Anyway, so that was that. Then on Friday, we did our bonus episode of Red Line 2009. Then on Saturday, we had a very momentous occasion because, as I've been saying on here, that I've been watching with Bob and my friend Real, we've been rewatching The X-Files. And so we finally got to, between seasons 5 and 6, they had the first movie. And so we finally got there. So we got together in person for the first time. Like, all these have been watching remote. And we got together in person, and we watched the movie on my friend Real's TV, and also the first episode of season 6 is kind of like a continuation, and that was fun. So we went to like a brewery, and we got dinner, and then we did this thing, and so that was a lot of fun. That was on Saturday, And then on Sunday, Bob came over because we had another lottery pod to do. And that was that. We watched sports because it was the last day of the baseball season. So we were watching for fantasy purposes, and we were also watching football. And so I saw the Vikings lose again, and then we saw the Rams lose.
You're so cursed, brother. I'm
sorry.
And
then last night I saw the Yankees lose. I mean, it's terrible, but it is what it is. But yeah, Teton was good, and Venom was fun, and I think
people said
everything.
Venom was a lot of fun.
I saw one review that was like, it's much better than the first, and I think it probably, like, the first one I like a lot, but the second one just seems like what's nice about this is it's like a little over 90 minutes, so it's short. It's very simple. Like, it almost feels like a comic book movie from like the 90s, where just like, oh, this one thing happens. Like, there's kind of one big action scene, and it's like, okay. And that's cool. It's nice because it's not like, what the Fast and Furious is now, or like all these Marvel movies. It's like, okay, we got to do this, and we got to remember the last one. We got to set up the next one, or whatever. Just like, no, man, like, there's Carnage, and like Venom has to fight Carnage, and like, it's kind of like exactly what it is. Like, there's a little bit of flashback or whatever, but it's cool. So I would definitely recommend watching that. I mean, don't watch the trailer for Teton, but I don't know.
I won't watch the trailer, but I mean, when it comes out, I'll give it a shot. We could definitely do it for an episode. I want to watch it, but like, I don't know how I feel about it. So
boy, I don't know how you're gonna feel about it either. I think you'll appreciate watching it. I don't know that you're gonna like it. I think that Rachel really won't like it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Cool.
I don't know. That's all I've got. We have a Patreon page, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party joining us tonight. Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke Hayden, Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all so much for supporting at the $5 a month level or above. On the last bonus episode, which will only be on the Patreon, so just go do those things, we announced the themes for 11 and 12, laps 11 and 12. So 10, we haven't even started yet 10, but they've known these, our patrons have known these for months now, if not a year.
Yeah.
And now they know themes 11 and 12, and Wes is already sending us notes about things. I mean, I don't think Wes is in a $10, but he's like, he knows things that we could be picking. So, the
takes guesses and stuff. Yeah.
So, it's all coming together. But yeah, toofast2forever.com if you want access to that and just be in the know. Be one of the cool kids. toofast2forever.com. We also have an email address, family@cageclub.me. And Joe, I sort of buried the lead. New $5 patron, meet Lane Middleton. So Lane has emailed in before. Lane tweeted at us a couple times this week on Twitter. But Lane joined the $5 a month. Lane, you're not going to hear this for months, if not years, but your stickers are in the mail.
That's awesome. Welcome, Lane. Glad to have you aboard. And that's really cool.
Lane also sent in a car picture that he says, I'm new and still on lap 3, so I'm not sure if you're doing car picks. And then he has a car pick. So we'll get to this eventually. And I will say, because you're not going to remember, it's also not going to help you, P.S. there's exactly a 0.1% chance he gets this. So good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Next email from Alex Ellen in subject line, red line, the follow-up. So he picked our bad red line, 2007 red line, for us to do last week.
The wacky red line.
Well, they're both wacky.
They're both wacky. You're right.
Yeah, that's not exactly a great description, but yes, the live action red line. We'll say that.
Yes.
When I originally picked this for the lap a year ago, which again, reminder, that's how long people have known about laps 8, 9, and 10. If you want to be one of the cool kids.
Yeah.
I told you it was the bad one, and I knew absolutely zero info about the other one. So, now you know a little bit more, because I'm assuming he listened to
the
real
patron one. Yeah.
Not the real one, the patron, yeah. Says I couldn't wait. So, okay, so this is a two-part thing. I couldn't wait to the plane ride. Special shout out to Joey for busting his hump. So this one got posted a day early on the Patreon feed, because Alex was like, hey, I have to take a plane ride on Friday morning early. If there's any way you can edit this for Thursday, that would be great. And I'm like, all right. And so I did it. And so then he just listened to it on Thursday night. So he couldn't even wait. But I mean, I appreciate that.
That's cool.
Supporting him. So yeah. Supporting him, supporting us, so on and so forth. But he doesn't talk about our reactions or if we did justice or not. But I guess that's fine. So you're welcome, I guess.
Or the wacky. I want to know if he knew the fucking backstory to this wild shit show that happened. But
all right. And then our last email is from Wes. No subject line. What up, fam?
What up, Wes? How are you doing, buddy?
Says nothing important to share today. Cool. Off to a good start. I just haven't written it in a while and figured I'd send in something.
Thank you.
Drea was an excellent guest, and when I went to look for her podcast episodes about Fast and Furious, I realized I'd already listened to them. Her show, Maximum Film, used to be called Who Shot Ya?, and I listened to their episodes sometime last year.
That's cool.
He says, I just read that they changed their name to distance themselves from any misconceptions about making light of gun violence. That's tough to do almost 200 episodes in, so I salute them for that. I always tell people, if they want to listen to a good Fast and Furious podcast, listen to Too Fast. But if you're already here and want a little taste of another show's perspective, theirs is a good one to check out. I'll also recommend Out Now with Aaron and Abe. I'd not heard of them before you guys did your cross-promotion, but I liked their episodes as well. And I'm not just saying this because you had these people on your show. There are a lot of bad podcasts and podcast episodes about Fast and Furious out there that I will never recommend. Just trust me on that.
Wes tells us about all the stuff that he listens to, and it's many, many, many things. So those are glowing recommendations. Thank you, Wes.
Since I do have one gripe, though, I don't think it's that weird to name a kid after a living person, even if they're not family. It's certainly not common, but not crazy. My brother is named after my dad's best friend, who's still very much alive, and I have a friend in Arizona named after a friend of her mom's. I think the bigger issue is they kind of painted themselves into a corner with that whole tribute. Most of us know was meant to honor Paul, but calling the baby Paul doesn't make sense in universe. And if you're watching these without knowing the Paul Walker story, calling the baby Brian as a dramatic reveal is kind of weird. Overall, just kind of falls flat, and let's be honest, the baby should have already had a first name anyway.
I agree. And I think that's kind of my, that's ultimately the gripe, right? That, why didn't you call it Paul, but you can't call Paul because Paul doesn't exist in Fast and Furious?
Yeah, right. We've talked about that. I get that, but, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still goofy.
Still goofy. Yep.
Also, I want to shout out, Lane was just like, hey, I'm 6 laps behind, but I had this idea about the thing. You're like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. I'm like, we talked about it.
I'm sure I was waiting, as I replied that, I was like, I don't remember talking about this. And then I was like, I'm sure that Joey's going to come in here very, very soon and tell us, of course we've talked about this.
Pretty sure we talked about it more than once. We probably talked about it on here and also on Nate's podcast. And Also, shout out to Ben Milliman, who resurfaced from the dead. He's been busy, but he tweeted at us. He did the Lego Charger and added actual lights, which looks amazing. So they sell these
on Amazon, and I've seen them for other things. But yeah, you can. Well, I mean, maybe he made his own. I'm not sure how he did it, but
Isn't he an electrician?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think. I know that Justin does HVAC, but I think Ben's an electrician.
That would make sense.
I thought this was just kind of a custom rig, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But either way, it looks amazing.
It's fucking awesome, and also for these Lego sets, if you're not as inclined as Ben might be, they do sell kits that you can buy on Amazon to light your Legos. But his was fucking awesome, and it had all kinds of different the tail lights would turn and stuff, they blink and flash. It was really, really cool. So yeah, excellent. I really like that.
He tweeted at us and we put it on. I retweeted, I quote tweeted it or whatever. So if you're looking for it, just go to Too Fast Too Forever on Twitter and you can find it there. But it's very, very cool, worth checking out.
Definitely.
Wes then sends in a paragraph about he's been playing GTA Online Los Santos Tuners DLC, which he's been talking to us a little bit about on Facebook. I'm going to skip a part of it, but he says, I've always thought if anyone was going to go do a good Fast and Furious video game, it would be in the style of GTA.
Yep.
Because F&F can't be just about racing, but so far this isn't quite it. Says I tried one street race the other night and it did not go well. I was inches from the finish line when I guess it ended because I got a DNF, do not finish. It wasn't a drift race, but I was looking a lot like Sean on his first night in Tokyo. I'm having a lot of fun just flying through the streets in my car, but I guess it was worth the $10 I paid for it.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, we played Crossroads, and Crossroads seemed to be a different demographic and type of game. But if you wanted a Fast and Furious game, I too also imagined it as essentially a Grand Theft Auto skin, right?
Yeah. Talking about Rock Band reminded we saw Kiss last week, and it was incredible.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I like them fine. I know a lot of their songs, but I'd never consider myself a fan. That being said, it's one of the best shows I've ever been to just due to sheer spectacle. So he sends a picture.
Oh, let me see.
Because they did some face painting.
I've heard
to you.
Kiss is fucking awesome live. And they're old now, too, dude. They're really, really old. But, I mean, hey, Gene Simmons.
My friend saw them. It was for one of his friends had a birthday last week. He's a huge Kiss fan. He saw them in the 80s without makeup, which I think is their Unmasked tour, maybe. So this is the first time seeing them in the face paint, and it's all he's talked about for months. We watched Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park in preparation, which is a very bad movie but fun to watch. Then a Kiss doc, and then Detroit Rock City, and then played some Rock Band.
This picture is great.
this other email. He says, I meant to include a picture of us getting ready. They all wanted to paint their faces, which I have a long history of doing as a juggalo in my younger days, so I was all in. But no one else wanted to do the white paint, so this was us. Actually, we didn't see a ton of other people with face paint, and a lot of other people who painted their faces did the same thing we did.
It's still fucking awesome. Yours looks great. Like, they did a really, really good job. I can recognize who everybody is, so it's awesome.
Mrs. West is the star child.
Ace Frehley is, I think, the cat, right? And then Gene Simmons, and I forget who the last guy is.
Thank you, Wes, for emailing in.
Yeah.
If you want to email in, family@cageclub. Of course, he ends it with, that's all, stay furious, Wes. So
yeah.
If you want to email in, family@cageclub.me. Love hearing from everybody, or just tweet at us or whatever.
Yeah, we'll find it.
family@cageclub.me. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious, anything you have seen in the last week? I feel like there's something, I didn't write it down, I'm trying to remember what it is, but anything you have seen in the last week?
I have something to tell you during the minute that is kind of like this, but I don't want to spoil it.
Well, then without further ado, let's get to the minutes.
Okay.
The Too Fast, Too Furious minute 30, a minute I called, let's see what this thing can do.
The car isn't important. What is important is the package I left in the glove box. The first team back here with the package will have an opportunity to work for me.
What do you say, we got audition?
Nobody's got a gun to your head. That's it.
Driver's licenses. Pass them up. Before Christmas, guys.
Muevan said go! Go! Go, man! Go! Go! Come on!
Come on, cuz. All right, let's see what this thing can do.
So in this minute, Carter Verone finishes his pitch, go to Little Haiti, and get what's in his car's glove box. As Carter walks away, Monaco collects the driver's licenses, and the race begins. Brian and Roman lead the pack back to their cars as they leave and begin the race. So actually, as I'm reading that plot and overview, I have a couple other trivia questions I think might be more difficult than the one I have, but we'll get to that at the end.
I had the same thought. Okay.
Do you want to hit me with the whatever you're just saving for me, or do you want to save that for later?
I was just on John Brooks's Hard to Believe podcast with Brian.
Part 2, yep.
As well, and I was talking about it before. And we were doing the second part of this movie quest that he's on right now. We were watching End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have you ever seen this movie? So I'm watching it, and it's about, like, the devil actually, comes down to New York and blah, 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 blah. It's the...
Well, actually, I haven't seen this, but I know about it, but yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's, 1999 becoming 2000. It's like a weird, goofy action movie. It's actually pretty fun. Brian and I really enjoyed it, and it really nailed the feelings of, like, 1999 going into the millennium, and it was funny to watch, not thinking about that for a very long time. There's, like, a guy that's, like, part of, like, the Knights Templar, kind of, that, like, is trying to, like, kill this woman that the devil's trying to impregnate, and, like, the head guy that's trying to stab her is Mo Galini. And I'm, like, looking, and I'm like, I recognize this guy, and you know who he is?
He's from Too Fast.
Yeah, he's the henchman Ejectocito, cuz, like Enrique. Yep. So, that was my fun, like, Fast and the Furious crossover that I saw in the past week, because I mean, I know John was, we were not, he did not ask me to join him for this movie because Mo Galini was a background character in this movie as well. But when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, it's the henchman from Too Fast. So I was very, very, very excited about that.
Cool.
You can hear me get really stoked on it at the end of the episode that we recorded with John, if you want.
Yeah, that'll probably be out tomorrow as this comes out in the main feed. I'm guessing that's out next week. So
yeah,
if not, so too. Then soon. But so a couple notes in this minute. I was honestly stunned how quickly action happens.
Yeah.
Were you surprised or were you not surprised?
Jarring, more so than how fast it happens. It, like, the cut between, like, okay, go get the cigar cutter, and, like, her collecting the licenses, and then, like, run in-car speed.
Yes, because I think, not that these movies are lacking in action, but when we break these down by minute, it's like, oh, there's actually a lot of not filler, but like connective tissue, right?
Yes,
Where it's just
yeah.
like, here's what's going on or whatever. And here, Carter stops talking.
Yep.
And Monica's like, okay, give me your licenses. And they're
Collects
like,
all of them.
go.
Yeah.
And then like
They say
3
go.
seconds 3 seconds later they're doing 90 down the freeway. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's not good or bad. Like I think it's actually kind of fun, you know, because there's less downtime.
Yeah.
But in terms of like doing the minutes, I'm just like, okay, so I'm expecting there to be like a little bit of like a build up or whatever, and like next minute's going to be the race. And like not only is next minute not the race, but like we're like 20 seconds into that.
Yeah, because we're always like, oh, we're like right close to this set piece that's coming, right close to this set piece that's coming. I agree. I thought that there was definitely going to be more conversation before we were just in the cars flying down the freeway in this one. But yeah, we're already 20 seconds into the driving down the freeway.
It's not like wildly far off. Like I thought there would have been like an extra like 30 or 40 seconds. So like in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. But when you're going minute by minute, that's a lot. Like it's we're way faster, we're way closer here than I thought we were going to be. So that was surprising in a cool way. Did you notice that Monica looks nervous? So Carter does his thing, and then Roman kind of grumbles, and I can't hear what he says, but he's just like, clearly Roman's not happy, right?
Yeah, because they're mad that they have to like audition, kind of.
Yes. Because even Fabio is like, what, we got to audition? And Carter's like, nobody's got a gun to your head.
Yeah.
And so Roman says something, and I wonder if it's her just like nervous that Carter's going to go off, or that like Roman's going to get her found out. Like there's a lot of reasons, but I don't know if I ever noticed the like nervousness that she has in this minute.
I don't think that I've ever noticed the nervousness either.
Did you see it this time, or is that not something you were paying attention to?
No, I didn't pick up on like her nervousness. I don't know if it's like she's trying to actually in acting like collect the licenses, but the nerves would make sense for many reasons. You're right. And I think mostly it got to be that like Roman got to keep his mouth shut, right?
Yeah.
You're right. Like you're dead on. So if she is nervous, like Brian's going to be fine. The other guys aren't in on it. The only person that could really like blow her cover is Roman. So she must be grumbling or anxious that Roman might like say something fucking stupid, and she needs to like get them out of there as quick as possible.
Right.
I've seen her be nervous in other parts of the movie, and it's usually around the same thing, like Roman stealing the cigar cutter at the end, her being like, where were you this morning? I was with my friends. All these kind of things. So
because it feels like, you know, she has been so careful in cultivating this whole thing, right? And it's just like, I can't believe that this idiot is going to blow my cover because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to go do an errand, even though like he was brought in like, hey, do whatever needs to do. You know, it's just like, you're getting your record cleared. Just like, don't screw around, right? But
he's a criminal, right? Like she knows that Brian like brought him in and he was a criminal, and he's not like trained. He's not everything. So it makes sense.
But technically also Brian's a criminal too, right? Like there's all kinds of criminals.
There is, but Brian was at least like trained and also undercover at one point. So like he knows the complexities of that.
I also like how impatient she is in collecting the licenses. Like she's like, all right, pass them up. And then like they're like reaching for their wallets, like, we don't have all day, boys, or whatever. Just like, give them a second. Like I know that like the race is literally about to begin, but like it's so fast. Again, another thing that like implying speed. And then I never realized that like they're driving without the license. Like not that they're going to get pulled over, because like they're going to outrun the cops probably anyway, but like it's just another added level of danger that they're driving without a license.
I was thinking like, realistically, how many of these guys have their licenses? Like, why don't we get the Dom answer of like, you know, can I have your license? He's like, who got one? You know, like that shit's been long gone. Like I just run from the cops always, and like maybe I got caught once, but like right, because doesn't like
Gal asked for it in 4,
yeah, and he's like, I don't got a license.
She's like the license is for him, the phone number is for me.
The fingerprint.
What car wise, detail wise, what did you notice in this minute?
I saw something that you also noticed, so I'm going to get that one off the bat first, is that Roman somehow has this, like, blue rectangle keychain, like, he just, like, rented this car, like, while he's driving. I thought that was very strange, but I'm glad that you noticed it as well. I got the license plate of the Yanko Camaro, because that pulls in front. Every single car that they pass seems to be silver for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
Maybe it's to make. Well, we found out. We remember that like they painted houses in the first movie with muted
duller.
colors.
Yeah.
To make them pop, make the cars pop, right? So maybe that they did the same thing here. I don't know.
It's kind of the same things, yeah. So there's like a Chrysler Town and Country and like a PT Cruiser and stuff, but like every car I kept like writing down like the car and the color because like they're not on car movie database. I'm just going based off what I see, and I kept writing like silver, 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 and I was like, oh, every single car is either like a white
Sure.
like tractor trailer or a silver vehicle of some kind.
Well, so I think what I'm guessing is it's that kind of thing because like to show that there are other cars on the road,
You
they
need
want to
them
have
for
cars
speed.
there, but they
Yeah.
don't want you to look at them. Like in Fate of the Furious, as I'm watching this today to talk about it with Brian tonight, when they're in New York and like they corral Dom and there's like the 6
Yes.
cars blocking the intersection, there's just Dom and like no one's around them and no one's angry. I'm like, if you block off a
Honking,
street in New York,
honking.
like even for like a second or two, people be like,
Millisecond.
Mother, what are you doing?
You would just get like brr, 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 like
Yeah.
so many horns.
So I think it's that. I think it's like to show that like,
agree.
yeah, we're aware that it's a world, whatever. But yes.
But the cooler thing to me was that they are driving down what is known as Alligator Alley. And that is an east and west parkway through the Everglades between I-70 it is I-75 and it's between 27 and 869. So it just drives straight from like, the west coast of Florida pretty much straight to Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. This is like a really weird road because they built it in like the 60s. It took forever to build because it goes right across the Everglades. That's why they call it Alligator Alley. It's like fenced off, and there's like all of these guides online like how to drive this.
Okay.
Like I was like looking for like info and facts and stuff like that. Oh, also it's like used like as a place where Dexter hides bodies in Dexter and stuff like that.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these guides to drive it because it goes straight through the Everglades and like when it was built and stuff like that. There's not many like gas stations or rest stops, so everybody's like, you should pack a cooler to drive this place and like make sure you pee before you go. And there's always cars broken down because they ran out of gas and there's not many gas stations. And I was like, okay, like that's really weird, but it kind of makes sense, right? Like if you were just driving and you didn't know and all of a sudden you're like on this road but there's like no gas stations for like 30-40 minutes in between, like that'd be pretty weird, right?
Well, so actually this kind of combines two different things. So when you were talking about Mount Fuji before,
Yes.
I was thinking about I had this like PTSD flashback when I was driving cross country like a decade ago, and I was in Oregon, and I was there before it was season. Like the things were still shut down because it was still like snowy, right?
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna stay at this like sort of nice hotel that is like I had sort of like allowed myself like a handful of like nicer hotels on this trip, and I'm
Makes
like
sense.
this one's sort of attached to or near no national park. I'm like, this is like a cool place, whatever. I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
And I get there and there's like no lights on, and I'm like, what the fuck? And like I have to like drive up this like mountain or whatever, it's same sort of thing, and
Makes
there's
sense.
like no one there, no one home. It's not open for business, and I'm like, uh-oh. Like I don't.
But you
I
had
don't
a
have backup
reservation.
plan. No, I didn't have a reservation, but I'm just
you
like
were just gonna
I
pull in.
But
Okay.
yeah, I just figure like I didn't have a reservation for anywhere. It's just like I'll figure things out when I get there. And I'm like, oh, there's no one here. And I'm like, oh, I have like an eighth of a tank of gas. My gas light is on, and I don't know where any gas stations are. And like I'm in the
This is
kind of in the middle of
pre-GPS,
nowhere.
right?
No, GPS is there, but it's like middle of nowhere, and like things like cell signal's not great out here.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
And so I was just like, I got down and I'm like, okay, I can go right or I can go left. And I went left, and like thankfully like left became like sort of like a main thoroughfare, and there was like motels and like gas stations and stuff. I'm like,
Okay.
if I went right, I don't know what would have happened. Like I would have like stayed in my car, like, or I don't, who knows, right? But like
Broke down, like you could have ran
Yeah.
out of anything, and then you're outside. You said it's cold and kind of snowy, like.
So anyway, yes, sorry to detour, but yes.
No, you're good. That was it. So like, I'm more concerned about Alligator Alley and what the fuck this weird place is. It's cool. It's like a very straight fucking shot. There's like warnings like make sure you don't drive it when you're tired, and like curate your own playlist to keep you awake while driving because it's very straight and like very long. So yeah, that's where they're driving. Why they're on that, I don't know, because they're going from downtown Miami to downtown Miami, and that goes to the west, like to the other side of Florida. Geographically, it doesn't make much sense because like we know where the house is in the marina.
I'm guessing it's the thing that like Brian complains about with New York, where just like,
Yes.
hey, yeah, you can't get from like Harlem to Times Square in like 4 minutes, but like just
Yeah, yeah.
cinematically, it's like, yeah, look, they're driving on Alligator Alley or whatever. Like, sure, cool,
Yes,
whatever.
It's a very straight road. I'm sure that they could like kind of block off like parts of it. You know what I mean? Like kind of like run. Like you just stop everyone for a minute and then like stop everyone for a minute on the other end, and you could just like a straight shot. So it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Do you know? So when they are running to the cars
Yes.
after Monica's like go, or Enrique is like go,
Yes.
someone's yelling go man, come on go, and it sounds like Brian. Is it Brian, or do you not know?
I have no
So there's
idea.
8 dudes here, and it's not Roman, and I don't think it's Fonzie or Fabio, but like it could be anybody. It feels like it's Brian, but I don't know.
I would guess it was Brian now that you say it, and I'm like thinking, but I'm like I was looking around. I wasn't like super zoned in on the dialogue because I was like, okay, I'm paying attention to the cars and stuff. But
Sure.
I think it is Brian telling Roman to get along, from what I remember.
Okay, because it's like
Yes.
it's 80 yards after the fact. They're all just running away, so it could be anybody. It kind of sounds like Brian, but who knows? Okay. I wrote down clothing for the 4 of the drivers, so I just called drivers 5 through 8 because I don't know. We don't really care about them because they're going to go away soon, so that's
Yes.
fine.
Well, some of them are gonna die very, very soon.
Yes, get run over, etc.
Yeah.
We have the music, which I did not mention last time. The song from the score by David Arnold, Meet Carter Verone, I think is the song that continues and then ends.
It makes
And then the
sense.
song Ride by Maurice Sinclair begins. But the weird thing is that this is not on the soundtrack, which feels like this is a pretty iconic movie or song for the movie. So maybe they just couldn't get the rights or whatever to have this on the soundtrack. I don't know.
Yeah, we've run into weird soundtrack things before, that there's like some movies that the soundtrack doesn't have any of the songs you'd imagine were on the soundtrack and stuff. So.
But like I think, well, maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes these are weird. Yes,
Yeah.
but I was just like, because I was looking at the soundtrack listing because Siri could not recognize the song, and then I was looking at the soundtrack, and I was like, none of these songs look like what it is. So like I had to go to like there's some like songinfo.com or whatever. It's like, what's the song? It's like, oh, it's this song. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I found it. I'm just like, it was strange, but anyway, you can find it. Whatever. Ride, Maurice Sinclair. So the trivia question that I have, which I think is easy for a couple different reasons, but where in Carter Verone's car is the hidden item the drivers are aiming to retrieve, which is in the glove box? But I'm thinking now.
But remember, it's not actually in the glove box when we get there.
So we could say, where does Carter say it is, which maybe is a trick question.
Yeah, because remember, it's actually in the center console. Remember, because
Right,
doesn't he
yeah.
like check the glove box? He's like, oh, check the console, check the console.
Yeah. So, okay. So that
That
might
makes
actually
the
be a good
question way more difficult.
Because I was also thinking, like, how
ahead.
many drivers participate in the race, which would be 8.
That's a good question.
Or, and this is something like we had in the first movies quiz, where like Mia counts the money, right? Like either what does Monica collect or who collects the licenses?
That's what I was leaning towards, but now that we've established that the glove box versus center console thing exists, I think that this would be fun to be like, where does Carter Verone say the thing you're looking for is, like the package that he's missing in Little Haiti is, and when the minute that he breaks the window and goes in, we can be like, where is the package actually at? And
Yeah.
do the reverse question. And then it gets very confusing, and you scroll back up to make sure that you switch them and have them the right way. And that's what I'm thinking in my head.
So then where does Carter Verone say the hidden item in his impounded car is located? And so I changed the first answer now to be in the center console, in the glove box, in the trunk, or under the driver's seat. And the
But
answer
all of those
is
are great answers, too. Like,
what
that's
he says
really...
in the glove box. Yeah.
He says it's in the glove box, yeah.
So yeah, we just have to remember in 6 weeks or whatever, or maybe not that far, but
We won't
whenever we
forget.
get to this next thing, use these same answers for basically the same question but reworded differently, right? With a different actual answer.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Same answer, same layout, everything. He says it's in the glove box. It was actually in the center console. Check the center console.
Minute 30, let's see what this thing can do, which, as you heard in the audio, is a line that Brian says about like testing out his car on the
Yeah.
open road. Any other notes about the minute?
No, I like I said before, but like it's so weird that Tyrese didn't take this keychain off or put a real keychain on this thing. It looks like such a fucking narc car.
Well,
if
it
you
looks
have
like
just
it- yeah.
one blue keychain that's like
Yeah.
like Mitsubishi Eclipse Spider, like written on it. You're like, that's clearly not your keys, right? Like,
It does look like just like, this is the Avis company car or whatever.
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
Yeah.
or like, you had all the keys hanging in a key box, and you were like, okay, which one is this? And you label the key, as opposed to having like, Barstow like on a keychain, right? Like, wouldn't that be like much cooler?
Yeah. Barstow, Ghetto.
Exactly. But I'm saying, like, you would have a keychain that would be like something like your keychain doesn't have just like labels on it. You're not a fucking janitor, so like.
True. I don't know. Yeah, Monica's like, all right, pass your driver's licenses up, and also let me see your keychains. Make sure you're not a narc.
Yeah. You'd
Wait,
be like,
ooh, I know that you're a narc. Why am I doing this? Oh no, I foiled myself. All right, let's take a break. Bring in Brian and talk about the fate of the Furious.
welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 204, Fate of the Furious. This episode is brought to you by Jakob and Jakob Organic Ice Cream. Jakob Marsing Rossini has been importing caviar for decades, and Michelin chef Jacob de Negard have come together. It's all about the taste. Shout out to Jakob and Jakob Ice Cream.
Well, shout out to Jacob and Jacob, and welcome back to Too Fast. As teased before the break, we have with us Mr. Slumber Party, Mr. Late Night, Brian Rodriguez. Hello, Brian.
Yeah. There's our fourth right there.
Shit. It's Brian.
It's very late night when we're recording, so thank you for having me.
It is. Now, I just found this out 10 minutes ago. My sister just sent this to me on Instagram. I just sent it to you guys on Facebook.
Okay.
Casey Musgraves was on SNL this past weekend and apparently wore the exact chaps that Suki wore in Too Fast.
Oh my god.
That's insane.
Not the same style, not the same company, the chaps.
Like, literally hers.
What?
So
How did this happen? How did this happen?
I do not know. I got nothing. I have no answers.
But time. You got nothing but time.
Yeah, she just reposted it.
Casey's a little bit more curvy than Suki is. I think that it's just like an interesting, like, it's amazing that she fits in this exact same chaps because Suki just looks very, very tiny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how chaps work. I feel like they're probably loose.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Also true.
Oh, for sure. Chaps adjustable. You could see she's wearing the belt at a different area. Like Suki has the belt hanging down a little bit. Casey has the belt a little up. They're wearing also different things under the chaps, so maybe that changes things. I don't know. Regardless, amazing.
It's insane. She bought the actual movie prop.
I mean, she did the one song, Naked. She did this song in Chaps. I mean, who knew that she was going to outdo herself with the clothed performance? But, maybe not for everybody, but for us on Too Fast,
It means a lot, yeah.
I just imagine that, obviously, NBC, Universal property, Fast and Furious, Universal property,
Ooh.
that this was lying somewhere. There's somewhere in a lot or somewhere. There must be a database now where you could search, like, things that, I don't know, you can wear. She's like, holy shit, Suki's chaps, I'm in. That's what I like to think.
I like to think that she just owns them from, like, when she saw the movie, she's like, those, I need those.
When I get famous, the first thing I'm going to buy, Suki's chaps.
Yeah, man.
She stole my idea.
We've all said it before. Brian, before we talk about Fate of the Furious, you've not been here a little while. We've been changing things up. We got some either-or questions that you have not answered yet. Are you ready to answer some either-or questions?
Of course.
Would you say you are, and I think I know the answer, but maybe not, are you more fast or furious?
I don't know. You saying that you knew the answer tripped me on what my answer should be. Am I more fast or furious? Oh my god, this one is bugging me. I think I'm a little bit fast and a little bit furious. I'm going to say furious.
That's what I would go with.
Okay, good.
That outs us a lot because I don't think any of us would be particularly fast.
Oh, I'm more fast and furious, for sure. I'm lacking fury.
I don't know about that, Joey. I've handed in a late episode from time to time. Been late on my membership dues for the Podcast Network.
Absolved myself of all of that. That's why I'm like, hey guys, last year and a half, you just do it yourself. It's all good.
And then half the shows just left the network, but
True. Yeah, that's not a coincidence that I'm like, hey, you guys have to do your own work. They're like, well, I guess we're wrapping up the show.
Also, I've maxed out the Cage Club Podcast Network Black Card way too much. So
we don't have to pay those bills, right? That just is like fun money.
Exactly.
We've talked about this. I'm sure we've talked about this. We just don't have an. Well, actually, no. I'm going to save this for a later thing because I'm going to be vague about it. We'll get to it eventually. Not today.
Okay.
Here's one ties into this movie. It'll be a nice, launch pad maybe for the conversation. Are you more a fan of Charlize Theron's hair, Cypher's hair, in Fate of the Furious or F9?
Let me look up the F9 photo.
It's like the Karen
short bob.
Oh, yeah. Duh. Okay, so I did have a lot I wanted to talk about. Well, maybe not a lot. But I had some hair notes for this.
Sure.
So
it's great way to start.
The film Hackers, which I've covered on my podcast, High School Slumber Party. Hack the Planet. Angelina Jolie's character, fashion icon from that movie. A lot of this Cypher takes from that character. Well, one, they're both hackers. Two, similar hairdos, right? So I like it because it pays homage. So I'm going to go this one. I'm going to go this one rather than
Fate of the Furious. Okay.
The Karen and Fast 9 one.
Oh, so you like Fate more than F9?
I like yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all the questions. There's the one that I nebulously skipped over, which we'll get to eventually in a future lap. I'll explain why if I remember on a future lap, but we'll get there when we get there. But we do have a question to kick things off. So all lap long, because this is the lap of F9 that we finally got to see F9, we are finally aware that Jakob exists in the world, that John Cena has been running around behind the scenes all this time, doing his own thing with Mr. Nobody, without Mr. Nobody, whatever. Joe, the question all lap long, what is Jakob doing during this movie? Either is he in these scenes? Is he in Cuba? Is he in New York? Is he in Russia? Is he somewhere else? We are chronologically as close to F9 as we're going to get in the main franchise. So, things are probably pretty similar to where they are at the beginning of F9, but maybe not. But, Brian, where do you think Jakob is at the start and the end and anywhere in the Fate of the Furious?
Where was he at the start of F9? Could you refresh my memory?
He's got the binoculars overlooking something in some unknown, maybe South American country, possibly.
He finds them when they have the one half of the Tesseract he needs.
Oh, yes. And it's not
Project Ares.
Yeah.
And it's not very clear. I know you guys have had your theories, but it's not very clear what exactly he's been doing in canon. Correct.
No, so all we know is he at one point worked for Mr. Nobody, and then he went rogue. We don't know the timing of that. And yeah, there is a deleted scene in F9, which I don't know if you've seen yet, but he gives the impression that every time Dom and the family take out a rival, he swoops in and cleans up the mess and takes over the territory.
Yeah, I've heard about. I haven't seen that scene, but I've read about it and heard about it from you guys. Huh? Where is he in this movie?
No wrong answers, because, this one, Joe, I struggled with this one. I'm not sure.
Because we're so close. That's what I was going to say, too. We're so close. The only thing that we know definitively is that he's out of favor with Mr. Nobody, because between 6 and 9, he fell out of favor with Mr. Nobody, right?
I think so. And, I felt so good, and I still feel good about on Furious 7 that I think he is in London cleaning up the Shaw mess after 6, because 6
that makes
ends,
sense. Yeah.
And Dom and the family take out the Shaw family, and we know that Jakob in this one line says that the Shaws, whatever. So I think that I know where he is. But Furious 7, it's Deckard in LA, and I don't know that there's really anything for him to do in LA, and I'm still trying to I don't have a good answer here.
What's the layoff between 8 and 9? Do we know?
That's a very good question. I would guess, based on baby Brian, baby yourself, he's a couple months old in this, maybe, right? And then he's 4, maybe, in
That sounds
F9?
about right.
That's a good call. So there's a pretty long layoff. So even though the movies are close together, we don't have to assume, all right, he's about to make his move, because we got years between that then. That sets new perspective. So maybe he's in Cuba. I think that would be the sexy answer. But I think he's probably on another rooftop in New York with binoculars,
Just keeping an eye on things.
Keeping an eye, yeah.
I was thinking that he was somehow because we know he went rogue and he kind of worked for Mr. Nobody, kind of like is out of favor now. I think he's somehow involved with like the Russian nuclear footballs thing.
In New York or in Russia?
Yeah, I can't decide because Dom gets the nuclear footballs. So if Cena was there, he would have had to like fight him, right?
Yeah. That's why I don't think he's that close to the action yet, because I feel like if he was, he would have taken his shot, you know? He didn't seem, again, I haven't seen F9 in a while, but he didn't seem that like, no, I'm going to wait a couple years, even though I'm this close to him in an action situation.
Yeah.
Let me wait a couple years for a perfect move, you know? I feel like he's still on the periphery at this point. Like, yes, he's cleaning up the messes, but he's not like chomping at the bit, because someone who's chomping on the bit doesn't wait 4 years to attack.
Yes,
no,
very true.
Correct. So I was, this is the element of intrigue in this watch this time through is this is the first time we've seen the introduction of Cypher since we've seen her in F9.
Yes.
And we've always, I've said it before, I will say it again, that we did not like this movie very much because of the ambiguity with which they leave Cypher's ending. And then we're like, oh, cool, she's coming back in 9. And then nothing really happens with her in 9, right? Like it just kind of, it leaves in the same place. She's on the run. Here, I'm wondering, Cipher and Jakob not together yet, because I think we're led to believe
Otto kind of connects them.
I mean,
I think Otto connects them.
Possibly. Or does Jakob connect? Jacob's like, I know this woman. I need your money. We need to get her out. Like we know where the plane is or whatever. I don't know that they know each other. I don't know that Jakob knows Cypher. Maybe he knows of Cypher, but I don't think it would be crazy to believe Jakob met Cypher before 9. I don't know if it's likely, but I think it's possible.
That's tough for me, but if Ramsey knows Cypher just from being a hacker, and Mr. Nobody knows Cypher now, those two knew. So Jakob, there's a good possibility of it that he knows of her. He's not like they met.
I am almost 100% confident that he knows of her. I'm wondering if he knows her, like they have worked together, that she has recruited him in the past or something. Like we don't get that impression.
She doesn't say that in 9. Like we don't get a hint of that in 9.
No.
I don't think.
Does he ever use a computer in F9?
Maybe. I mean, she does say that she read, about all the Toretto family and like his second grade report card or whatever. So I guess this is the first meeting between the two, I guess, in 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I do have my questions on that. Again, I don't know how deep in the world he is at this point. Again, what's a shelf life for someone who's in the world of danger like this, right? Like,
apparently 10 movies.
Yeah.
But not everyone can be an MVP like that and just not, I don't know. It's crazy to think about, but I tend to think that he kind of lays low at certain moments. I think he's just like kind of in the grass a little bit, Jakob, just not necessarily calculating, but...
Or maybe if he is on his own now, if he has gone rogue and he's keeping an eye on his family, and Dom, maybe he learns of Cypher because of her proximity to Dom in Cuba or on the run.
Actually, I would sign up for that theory for sure. That makes a lot of sense.
So he's just kind of in the background tailing Dom, not necessarily to any end, but just to know where he is and what he's up to.
Wait, even better, he's not concerned about Dom because Dom doesn't like him. He's now following around wherever Mia is in this movie. And he's kind of watching over her, knowing that Dom isn't there, and he likes Mia, and she was the one who reached out to him.
Just on an island with Brian.
Like, wherever, we don't know where they are in this movie, right? They don't really say it.
Once again, refresh my F9 memory. Mia and Jakob, is it clear when they have been communicating? Like, is F9 the first time they communicated, or has she been, secretly communicating with him for years?
She says she did for a couple years and then lost track of him and then broke into a police station to try to find out where he was.
I think that was, but that's after he leaves, when they're 20, not now.
Okay, so there wasn't sometimes there's relatives or friends who come and go. I wonder if there was a period she didn't talk about where Jakob was actually close to Brian and Mia and she just didn't tell Dom, right? Like maybe he was in their lives and going to restaurants with them. What if he kind of lived the John Cena trajectory? Like he would just occasionally go back to wrestling. Like that's his gig sometimes.
He would just be on TV, but Dom wouldn't watch it. He's SmackDown, and Dom's like, no, not on Thursday nights.
Yeah, you think Dom has time to watch wrestling?
I think he would enjoy it.
Dom opens his movie on vacation, right? Like, he is just living the life.
But he's an I'm unplugging kind of vacation person, right? Like
that's true.
When it comes to cars, maybe not, but he just like his dream vacation is an Airbnb that has a garage with some broken down cars and some car parts where you can just be like, ooh, 85, whatever, Dodge, cool. Let me put this Honda engine in it, like just let's see if this will work. Like that's his dream vacation.
Although, we'll eventually cover on the podcast the XXX movies, and the XXX 3, it begins with a downhill ski slope, but in the jungle chase where he's trying to reconnect the cable to get a soccer game on in a small town. So maybe he's not watching SmackDown, but he's not above making sure the rest of Cuba has access to John Cena on SmackDown.
Fair enough. By the way, best thing about the XXX movies is Vin Diesel's coat in the first one. He's got like a coat with a furry like collar thing, and sexy.
I've never seen the first two of them. I've only seen the third one, which I was like, nah, I don't think I missed anything. Like, I'm good. But eventually, we'll do all three in some fashion.
I've been saving them for this, yeah.
One thing that I found Brian, I want to hear about you, but my big other thing, while we're talking about Cypher, sort of, that I feel is a thread they could pick up or just completely drop, but I feel like the way that F9 ends with the credit scene of Deckard coming back, before Cypher jumps out the plane, Deckard is there and there's a one-on-one confrontation. She's basically like, there's a difference between you and me. I'm the one with the parachute, and she jumps out and he's like, But and this is a little bit of a stretch, I think, but he has beef with Cypher because he doesn't like that Cypher essentially sent Owen to jail and put that added stress on Queenie.
Yes.
And so that's a little bit of a weird kind of domino effect. But I wonder if Deckard, because we're like, how is Deckard going to come into play after 9? Is he going to be good? Is he going to be bad? Are he and Han on the same team somehow for, whatever. But I wonder, like, that's a way to get him
on their side.
Yeah, for real again, because family is whatever. But that was something I'm just like, I guess they're maybe setting a thing up, but I wouldn't have remembered the interaction except we know how F9 kind of ends in all sorts of different ways, right? So I was intrigued by that.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. It makes a lot of sense too, and I forgot that like that's the whole crux of why Dom goes to Queenie to get Deckard on board is because they had this like beef. He has beef with Cypher because of the brother thing. Like I knew that he did it, but like it still was like that's not in the forefront of my mind of like this is exactly why he did it. But yeah, that makes sense because like once you're like, okay, we're all out to get Cypher, like we're banding together to fight her, then that's how you get them back, and that makes perfect sense.
On this watch, I enjoyed the film more than ever, right? Like this was always my last place one, but I was like, you know what? I should have given this film a chance. I am in a mood though where like I'm kind of over action, if that makes sense. Like I kind of zone out when all like big action sequences are going. But in terms of like the dialogue and Roman doing his thing, I'm all for that. But I had a really good time watching this as a standalone film, like not thinking about F9. I know you guys can't do that, obviously. This is forever. But for me, like I tried not to think about F9. I tried not to think about 7. I just wanted to think about this movie. I don't know. I enjoyed it more that way. Like there was less consequence, less overthinking. So, I mean, what you're saying is checking out, but it doesn't matter that much to me, you know?
Did it make sense? Because whenever I think about this movie, if you don't put any context on either end of it, then this movie just feels totally chaotic. Like,
well, it makes sense in a way that like you can check into a Bond film. Okay. Not like the Craig Bonds, like, you know, like the older Bond films, and not necessarily care where the order is, right? But if you just didn't know what James Bond was, or you didn't know what a Fast and Furious movie was, and then just watch this movie, it would be bonkers. You know, it would make no sense.
Yeah.
Who's Brian? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, it's definitely not an independent movie, but it's still fun if you just like kind of let your guard down and just watch it
with some blinders.
Watch it for what it is, right? Like Dom's cousin again in Cuba. Like, is he really Dom's cousin? I need to ask that of you guys.
I don't know. We don't know.
He says he's a Toretto. He says like a Toretto wouldn't drive a car like this. So we're assuming they even have the same last name.
The ambiguity of Dom Toretto's ethnicity is one of my favorite things about this series.
Well, yeah, they try to clear it up in 9 by saying like, "Oh, they're pretty much every race, including Norwegian or whatever." But like, because John Cena shows up and she's like, "Oh, you don't look like a normal Toretto."
I never detected the Norwegian strain or whatever, right? So, yeah.
With that chin, and I think that's like their kind of joke to specifically Brian to be like, "Yeah, we're just." Whatever he feels like today is what we're going to do.
I have a question for you guys kind of regarding that. In what film did Vin Diesel and Dom Toretto cease to become different people?
Well, if you ask Joe, they've always been the same person, because it took me like 100 episodes for him to stop calling Vin Dom and Dom Vin, and that only lasted for like 10 episodes, and now it's back. I'm just like, all right, it's fine, whatever. I cannot. I don't know. I think maybe when he became a producer, maybe like when he became more invested and just like, you know, this is just who I am.
Was that 4 that he did that too? Because if I feel like 4 is when Dom and Vin blended together, they became one.
Well, like the weird thing is that we're so in tune with Vin Diesel as Dom, but I think Vin Diesel is like way dorkier and way nerdier than Dom would ever be. Like he loves D&D. Like his background is in D&D. Like his. Yeah. Like, as much as he loves his franchise, his shit is, like, Riddick and stuff, right? Like, it's RPGs. It's, like...
Sci-fi.
It's tabletop games. Yeah, it's, like, real hardcore nerd shit. And so, I think that there's, like, a blurring lines between there, but, like, I don't know that this actually is Vin Diesel. I think this is... Like, Vin is just gone. Like, we're just, like...
No. You're making
the ultimate disappearing act.
Wait, Mark Sinclair is a nerd.
Yes.
Vin Diesel and Dom Toretto are the same person.
I like that. Actually, that's great, because if you're going to call yourself Vin Diesel, you are the Dom Toretto character. But you're right. Mark Sinclair is that D&D nerd. That's who he is when the door closes. But when the door's open and the lights are on, I think these characters have merged. And when I look back and answer that question... I think it's definitely in the Los Bandoleros, right? Like,
okay,
he directs it.
Yes.
You know, I just happen to know, being Dominican American myself, his love for Dominican Republic and making sure that some part of it was based there and filmed there. Yeah, and also like the idea that, and he has said this, like he really wants to be a man of the world. He really wants that. So like his ambiguous ethnicity in these films is almost like him saying, like, you see, I am a man of the people, and the people are men of me. He's the god of this franchise, so I'm with it, is all I'm saying. Like, I used to be kind of a hater of that, like, oh, come on, like, he can't be this and that at the same time. Like, if you can't pretend to be Latino at times, you know, but now I'm all in. I'm all in now.
Like, what I think is a little strange, it's not strange, but like, I don't think when they're in Cuba that he gives off the impression that he's Cuban. I think it's just like, I have family in Cuba.
He has a Cuban cousin, yeah.
And I think that that's like
no, but he says all this weird. He says all this weird stuff that almost like he's towing the line between saying this feels like home. Like Letty's like, you feel very relaxed here, and he's like,
well, you could say anywhere feels like home.
But look at the real Vin Diesel, who owns a house in Dominican Republic, spends a lot of time there, and he's not Dominican, but it feels like home to him. So I think
that's true. Yeah.
That's like a similarity thing. Like, and that's true about Vin and maybe Mark as well. Like, they like that island life, and good for him.
We don't really do episode titles, but I feel like this would be one that's like Mark, Vin, and Dom. Like, where does one end? Where does the other begin? Because we're going deeper into the man, the legend here than... Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's also like maybe just a dot. Like, it's hard to tell.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think that he plays D&D with Letty when they're like... does
no,
he try to make her play?
Wait. Are you saying does Dom Toretto play with
yes.
Letty, or does Vin Diesel play with Michelle Rodriguez?
Both. That's a good question either way.
I don't think Michelle Rodriguez gives one fuck about D&D. I
think
cannot
that's true.
see her playing anything even remotely nerd shit like that.
But do you think that Dom Toretto has ever like when they were on that island, he's like, "Yo, can we get a quick quick game in, like quick sesh? Can we do a quick sesh right here?" She's like, "Oh God."
So
and he pulls the dice out of his pocket.
I don't know.
He just carries like
He definitely carries dice.
Yeah, he has like a 3/4 inch like socket and a 20-sided die in his pocket at all time. He's like, never know what you're gonna need.
After he beat Kenny Linder half to death, he put a dice in his mouth. That was his calling card.
Well, we could learn this in a later installment of the franchise, like with flashbacks and stuff. So on High School Slumber Party, right? We just did a film called All the Bright Places with this guy called Justice Smith. And the other day, I was looking up Justice Smith and what he's up to, what is he doing. I'm getting somewhere, don't worry. And then I remember that he was going to be in the Dungeons and Dragons movie with Michelle Rodriguez.
She was going to be in the D&D movie?
Yeah, she is going to be in the D&D movie. So come on, she doesn't sign up for that with some knowledge of the game, right?
Well, the knowledge of the game, I'm sure she has.
Mark Sinclair.
Is from Mark, yeah.
Yeah. So I had an interesting thought, and it came at the very beginning of the movie. We're talking about the Dominican and stuff. That as I was watching, Dom set up for the bootleg turbo.
The Cuban Mile.
No, he calls it like a bootleg turbo, right?
It's the poor man's turbo, which he says he learned from the Buster.
Yes. Now, if you think about it, him pulling the vacuum line and the car catching on fire is very similar to what Jacob did in the race that killed Dom's dad, right? I don't remember, did he pull the vacuum line? Like, there was like a leak in the fuel line, but I feel like Leo and Santos said like, oh, like if you pull the vacuum line, like something about the vacuum line too. And now I'm like, oh, how did Dom not connect in that moment that that's what was happening to his dad's car?
Well, so maybe the Buster they're talking about is not Brian. Maybe the Buster is Jacob.
This is also what I'm saying, because he says the Buster, and then I thought back to this. Does this make sense? But Vince kind of gives Brian the nickname the Buster. But also, that could just be like a word that you say with your friends, right? Like, you're like, whatever, fool.
Well, they call everybody fool. And also, just, Jacob hasn't been around in a while. And maybe it's like the dork in their group or whatever. Like the one that they pick on.
Like, nerd, what a nerd.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it would make sense that because we talked about, like Dom is looking for somebody to be a Brian figure in his life, or like a Jacob figure in his life who turns out to be Brian. They kind of, follow the same path. He's a little bit younger than him, whatever. That this would make sense that like he would call them both Buster, and maybe, yes, he is referencing.
Because we never saw Brian do that. And also, like, I know the Buster became a gearhead, but it doesn't feel like something that he would ever, that the character as we know it would ever, like, know to do.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, this is why I was thinking about it the whole time. I was like, maybe he's talking about Jacob here. Because, like, it makes no sense that Brian just would, like, when has Brian ever been in a situation where he didn't have, like, a car from the government, right?
Or from Dom.
Or from Dom, yeah. So it would be, like, this would be, like, a weird thing for him to, like, just invent or introduce to Dom on his own. So, yeah, this was kind of blowing my brain when I was watching it this time, thinking about that.
Because one thing, Brian, we picked up from Nico and Kebo when they were on was that there's a chance, like, maybe the reason that Dom loves Brian so much is that he's trying to fill the Jacob-sized hole in his heart. To have Brian and, sort of emulate and take on the characteristics and even the name of, sort of in a sense, like the fallen brother, is right in line with that theory.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because he comes around, like, right around when like, there was only, like, a year or two between, like, Jacob leaving and Brian showing up, so it, like...
No, Joe. You're forgetting. It's what? 12 years. Or whatever.
What? No, yes.
It's 89.
Sorry, yes.
It's like 8 or 9 years.
Can you get, like, a Walt Hickey or someone who does graphs and charts to do, like, more of a timeline for us? Like... What?
I don't think this is the biggest thing that we have. We talk about it. Wes, who listens and writes in a lot, he's the timekeeper. The only answer is there is no answer, because the franchise does not give a shit about times.
But I want one of those like pop charts of what the possible timeline is. right?
It's got it pretty down. It's pretty close. The only thing that really, really fucked it up was F9 being like
89 instead of 99.
Yeah, 80. If it said 99, all of this would kind of fell in line, but it didn't. It just
because they basically rewrote it based on, so there's two ways to gauge time, really. There are tombstones and children's ages. And when they show Letty's tombstone, like, they basically pushed, I think, the first two movies like 3 years forward, and then Tokyo Drift takes place like in 2013 or something, which is also insane. But they've adjusted those. So like 4 takes place in like 09. So 1 comes out in 01, but actually takes place in like 04. It doesn't really make sense, but it's also kind of fine, whatever. But yeah, then F9 being like, oh yeah, no, this was 1989. It's like, no, it's not. No, it cannot be.
It literally cannot be, based on everything else. But yeah, That's what they did.
It just adds to the mystery. I love it, though.
Well, like, so I'm listening right now to With Gorley and Rust covering the Friday the 13th movies, and they have, this is 3 years ago because I'm listening to the first season when they're doing the Friday the 13th movies, but Matt in his office is literally writing on the window the timeline because, like, movies 2, 3, and 4 take place on the same weekend, which is crazy.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The first movie, spoilers for Friday the 13th, first movie, the mom is the killer, and then Jason shows up at the very end, and then he is the killer in 2, and then he gets the mask in 3, and then he keeps going in 4. But 2, 3, and 4, it's like Friday into Saturday into Sunday into a little bit into Monday, and so they're doing all this. But then the movies jump forward in time by like a decade, and all of a sudden, to make the math in part 8 work, it's like, okay, this girl is a 38-year-old high school student because like she was like 8 years old on this boat when there's like 8-year-old Jason, which had to happen in like 1959 or something. So like if this movie's taking place in 2000, it's insane. Like it doesn't really work, but whatever. So we need a Matt Gorley office window, but for the Fast and Furious timeline.
Yeah.
If the Patreon was bigger and we had a studio, we could do this on the wall.
We could. It would be right behind us as you watch the live stream. It would just be like right above our heads somewhere.
Couldn't you just put that in your respective homes?
Yeah, but
look, I have a wife, you have a wife. How would that go? If I start writing on the wall behind me right here.
Well, I wouldn't be doing it. It would be...
I'm not doing it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not doing it for multiple reasons.
Just imagine.
I don't have a wife, but I also just don't want an entire window. Well, I mean, I do have a whole blank wall right now.
It's probably worse for you without a wife, because if some woman walked into your house and saw the timeline, you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Or if she walks in, she's like, oh, yes, you are the one.
Imagine you have a spot on the timeline that you can't figure out, and some beautiful lady just comes in.
And she just Rain Mans it in between.
Yeah. Like she's my Will Hunting, and she just solves it.
Good Will Hunting, sorry.
Oh, that's your sword in a stone. That's your sword in a stone, Joey.
So I need to put on my wall an unfinished Fast and Furious math problem, and then
yes.
Bring
and
back
a janitor, and a nice janitor
somehow
girl will come
be charming enough to bring back a series of women here and like lead them into my office where there's nothing else to do, and it's just like, okay, just hang out here for a little bit. I need to go freshen up, and they're like, what the fuck is on the wall?
That's so creepy.
I don't know how this happens otherwise.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, though.
We are also verging on the territory of an After Dark episode, and this is on the public feed. We need to reel this in.
I'm so used to the After Dark episodes.
I know.
Just a plug for the Patreon furious listeners out there, or fast listeners, whatever. This is just a little taste of what it gets like after dark. And if you pay for the new highest tier, the $150 tier, you'll get the outtakes of the After Dark episodes.
God, no.
Brian, I want your opinion. This is something that I brought up in the opening segment. I want your opinion as a New York City resident. What you think of the scene in New York where Dom is stopped in the street and the 5 or 6 cars that the family are in are like cornering him,
yeah.
And there's no traffic around and no one is angry that they're blocking off a sort of major thoroughfare.
Yeah.
That feels realistic, right?
Very impossible. Very impossible. That's why street racing, while it does happen in New York, it's more, again, 3 a.m. highway stuff, right? Like,
yes.
Or in the outer boroughs, it used to be pretty common. Not really where they were, not in the scenic parts. However, I'm glad you bring up this New York thing,
sure,
Joey, because This is something that Fast and Furious fans, as the movies were going along, as I was, actually, F9 was the first one I did not see in the theater. I didn't see Tokyo Drift in the theaters, but I saw 1 and 2 in the theaters, I believe. 3, no. But from 4 through
9, you saw 9.
No, sorry,
with us.
Sorry. 8 was sorry. We're talking about 8, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
8 was the first I did not see in the theaters from a streak from 4 through 7. I don't know. I was a little confused at this point of whether I still want to buy in or not. I did, obviously, but I was a big Brian fan. Regardless, growing up and seeing Miami and LA in the first one, and eventually you get Brazil in the 5th one, right? Like everyone was clamoring, like, we need to go to New York. We need to go to New York because there needs to be a New York Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, that's true.
By the time we get there, they're almost too big for one city, right? Like they have like scenes in 5 or 6 cities. But at the time, there was a lot of, and you could probably find it on some corny old message boards. There was a lot of dialogues of what would that New York-centric Fast and Furious movie look like? Because Mark Sinclair has a lot of New York roots, a lot of Greenwich Village roots. So people were like, oh, that would be super cool. That would be kind of like a little bit of a homecoming. I don't think he's born in New York, but I think he like grew up or in.
I mean, again, he's a citizen of the world.
Yes.
Wherever he is, he's from.
And I didn't even mention Tokyo, right? Like that one where Tokyo's sort of a character in that too. Like people wanted that New York film. And I'm glad that even though it's late, they do go to New York twice and it ends in New York randomly. And so this was going to be my next question for you guys, actually. Is it just assumed that they're always just going to have this dinner at the end, this party? And like, is there a party planning committee, you think? Like, oh.
Is there dues that you have to like pay in for the barbecue at the end?
I assume it's potluck.
The answer is yes. Every mission ends in a barbecue. Whether they're captured on film or just ones that we imagine, they all end in a rooftop barbecue or backyard barbecue. Beer, grilling, family, prayer.
This one looked like it had a charcuterie board or something going on there.
Well, they're New York. They're on
Yeah,
the rooftop.
Quality meats, baby.
That's true.
Come on, it's like they have to assimilate with the culture a little bit. I just wonder if at this point, because they're rich, they're connected, is there a party planner involved? Do they call a connection? Does Mr. Nobody have party connections where they're like, don't worry, we'll bring the charcuterie board?
I was thinking this time because they had like tins and like beers and ice like in like nice metal things, and they're on this roof that has a bunch of plants. So like I was like, this had to have been a little bit of planning, right? Like this isn't just like somebody's like the backyard barbecues I get, right? Because you can always throw a backyard barbecue, not a big deal. Somebody runs to the store on the way home, we're cool. But this one seemed like it definitely took some planning. You have to get the space, you have to get the beers, the nice containers, the charcuterie board. But like this one definitely was more upscale. I think Mr. Nobody put this together. I think you're right, and he's in charge of the party planning. Well, he was there, so he was like, I got this party. Don't worry about it.
By the way, speaking of Mr. Nobody at the party, it is so awkward that he's like saying his goodbyes, and then as he's saying the goodbyes, he's like, hold on, this could be interesting. And then encourages the entire barbecue to like stare at Vin or at Dom and Deckard. It's just like, I was about to leave, but like, this is better than wherever I was going to go. So like, let's all look over there. It's just like, okay. And then, we've talked about before, everyone meet Brian. The awkwardness of them applauding the name. It's like, I don't like, we talked in the intro about like naming and like whether that's annoying or bad or weird or normal or whatever. But the applause, it's like, yes, good name choice. I know that your wife, your baby mama just died, but good job naming Brian Marcos Toretto. Good job.
Brian Marcos, yes. His name is Brian Marcos. I've heard. Yeah. Rachel brought that up this time. She was like, Marcos? Like, yeah. Okay, yeah. Brian Marcos Toretto.
So weird.
Brian Marcos Sinclair.
I would have named him Brian Earl Spillner.
Toretto. Brian Earl Spillner Toretto.
Can I just go through my
please
2 or 3 other notes for the film?
Yep.
Before you kick me out of here, just like things on this.
Well, we got games to play. We're not going to kick you out yet. We got games to play.
Fair enough. We can be quick on this. Obviously, Cuban Mile. You've talked about it,
of course.
This time, I'm a crocodile at the watering hole. Cracked me up so much. I'm sorry. There was just such a silly line. So many animal metaphors in this one. with the tiger and the neck thing too. I'm like,
Yep.
whoa,
Mhm.
interesting screenwriting choices. As always, love Roman, but love Roman in this one more than I thought I loved Roman in this one. Like the fact that he's number 11 and stuff. And now that I've seen 9, I'll kind of recant a little bit about what I said. But the Tej, Roman, and why do I always forget? What's this girl's
Ramsey.
name?
Ramsey.
Ramsey. Maybe that's her last name, by the way.
It is. Her name is Megan Ramsey.
Okay. Like, I love that whole thing, right? Like, when she's talking to Shaw and they're getting, like, jealous. Like, that was awesome to me.
Barstow, Ghetto.
And I know this has been addressed, I'm pretty sure here, and in other places. Maybe on the podcast, my favorite Fast and Furious podcast.
I'm gonna have to bleep that show name, but okay, go ahead.
No, but Scott Eastwood as just like, we need a white person to replace Brian is like so forced here that it's like, come on, no, you did not need just a random white guy to replace Brian. You have plenty of white people in the film. It didn't need to, like, I feel like someone consciously said, you know, younger hot white man, just so like the ladies can have their choices. Like, it's like, come on.
Well, it's pretty telling that he is not back and he's not missed in 9.
No, exactly. I'm like, wait, he wasn't in 9, and I just realized it. Well, by watching 8 today, I completely forgot about this character.
I guess for, Mr. Nobody is not really in 9. He's been captured or whatever. He's on tape. So, like, I guess it would make sense. But they could also be like, yeah, we called Little Nobody. We called Rules, right? Like, but
they call Stasiak,
They call
so they already
Stasiak.
did one of those.
If he was that popular, he'd be back. He'd be back if he was that popular.
What is he doing? Because you'd assume that, like, I guess we have to assume that he was with Mr. Nobody when the plane goes down, so they're kind of, like, still together, right? Because he's still an underling. But, like, I was thinking, like, why wouldn't he have been like, okay, like, Mr. Nobody's gone, so, like, now's my shot.
Well, I mean, like, you have to imagine that their organization is big and maybe he's just doing work in other places.
I don't know, but his character to me was so just like blah and bad and just not even well received by the rest of the cast there that I was like, wait, is he working for Cypher? Like, is he really a bad guy here? Because usually when we get characters like that, it's like, oh, you were so
Heel turn.
Yeah, silly and incompetent because you were secretly working for the bad guy. But nope, he's just. Wait, is he at the? Is he at the?
He is.
Barbecue
He
at the end?
applauds. He's at the barbecue at the end.
There you go. So I really feel like they were trying him out as a potential Brian replacement, and it just didn't click with the audience.
I mean, we don't know why it's not Zac Efron. I mean, to make you happy, I don't know why it's not Taylor Lautner. It could be anybody.
Oh, why did you do that to me? Oh, now that I picture that, chef's kiss.
You just need a dude who looks good shirtless. Like, that's all that role is, right? It's just somebody who's, like, clean cut and looks good shirtless.
Please, can Taylor Lautner, in a weird age up, play Brian Marcos? Please.
Like a flash forward in the next one, like in 10 we keep flashing forward.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be fun. Yeah, because fuck time. We're not playing, like, we were, like, I mean, like, we have totally broken the timeline anyways. So, like, we need more flash forwards in 10. If you're listening, Justin Lin, flash forward. That's what we want.
Joey, as a fan of Lost, would you take a flash forward Flash and Furious movie?
We've talked a lot about how the franchise will end, right? And, like, people's maybe ushering in the next generation.
Yeah.
Someone tweeted at us this week about, Dom becoming Mr. Nobody at the end of 11, which could be cool. Like,
That makes sense, yeah.
I don't want 10 and 11 to flash forward, I don't think. I don't want the main story. I think we need to keep it roughly where we are in time because we're on the trail of Cypher for whatever, right?
Okay.
But if 11 jumps forward and sets up other stories, or we do standalones or whatever, by all means, like, throw the rule book out, do whatever you want. But I think the next 2 movies have to be somewhat
On this
grounded
timeline.
in time. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Joe, you and I have talked Taylor Lautner a lot, obviously. So this question is for Joey. Universal on the Peacock announces a Fast and Furious live-action show, and this is it. And it's featuring another Toretto cousin, and that is Taylor Lautner. Are you in?
Of course.
Or are you okay? So
Super sold.
You are sold.
So you mean, like, in addition to Tyler Posey as Dom's cousin?
That we do, like, a live action Spy Racers.
Yeah.
And it's Taylor Lautner.
It's more an adult spy racers, right? Like not like adult, not like porn. But
Sexy spy racers.
But yeah, kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like kind of like kind of bringing the sex back to the Fast and Furious thing in a sense.
Sure.
And Taylor Lautner's a star. I'd be all in. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know.
I mean, look, if Fast and Furious if the name is on the thing, we're doing it, right?
That's true. That's very true.
Are we gonna get another Hobbs and Shaw, or is it not happening?
No, they greenlit a second one. There's been no news about it.
COVID didn't they greenlit a second one, then COVID happened, so I don't think they're shooting it yet.
Gotcha. Well, I mean that's all I have. We could get into more, but those were my main notes this time.
So there is one line I want to call out. My last note. I know she's speaking metaphorically, but Cypher tells Dom that he will, quote, abandon your brothers, plural. And we didn't know it at the time of Fate that he had a brother. So does Cypher know something that we don't know? Does he have more than one brother, or is she just truly speaking metaphorically?
I think we should read deeply into that and say that she knows that he has more than, he has a brother, because we know that Jacob exists now, but I think at the time she was just like, your brother's in arms, your family, your friends.
Right, yeah. But
brothers though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that's
that's why I said what I said, the plural.
Okay, I'm going to give you 3 choices.
So I just don't want to make sure that Brian repeating what I said was not your epiphany moment. Oh, brothers! Why didn't you say that? It's like, yeah, that's the whole reason I brought it up.
I did, because I was considering Brian the other brother, because that's kind of his brother-in-law. So I didn't even think about Jacob and then another, and we see the flashback. So where are they fucking hiding another brother in this point? You know what I mean? We know Mia was there, we know Jacob was there. There's a third brother that just wasn't in any of the flashbacks and not around when his dad died.
Hey man, you never know.
Half brother.
Okay, I'm going to give you 3 choices for that brother, or 4 choices for that brother. Dave Bautista.
Never happened.
He said he hates.
Okay, but I'm giving it to you.
Okay.
So Dave Bautista, right? Keanu Reeves.
Not big enough.
Not big enough.
Wait. You mean physically or
muscly, not ripped, not brawny enough, that is what I'm saying.
Robert Pattinson,
which I would love always,
or Donnie Yen,
or fifth option always is Timothée Chalamet, and that's who my ultimate choice would always be. But he's also not big enough to be a Toretto.
Well, so I think Keanu is going to tie into the Hobbs and Shaw world. I don't think he's a Toretto brother.
Fair.
Bautista will never be in these movies. If Joe said Keanu's not big enough, Pattinson's smaller than Keanu.
Yeah, he is. Keanu's definitely more ripped than Pattinson is.
And I mean, Donnie Yen, I don't know how. Yeah, I'll take it, man. That's fine, but I don't know how that flies.
I didn't detect an Asian strain in your.
How about Mark Wahlberg?
That's probably the best bet. Yeah, something like that.
I could
Arnold's.
Arnold's just too old. He's too old.
He's a half brother.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's a very early version of Dom's mom. Well, we don't know when the fuck she had him now at this point, because it was 89 when his dad died. So
Corey Stoll.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you do. That's the guy from The Strain.
Oh, the bald guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
could you see him as less of a?
He's a henchman.
Or just more of a intelligent brother, you know what I mean? Like a conniving evil brother.
An erudite brother?
Yes. I was never into cars like you and Dad, but Mom taught me computers and evilness. I don't know.
Yeah. Really paints Toretto's mom in a really bad picture, right? we just keep letting her have half evil sons. The dad just ultimate good, and the mom was just behind the scenes ha ha ha.
Do we know anything about the mom?
Nope.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Nothing. I don't even
think
he mentions
It's got to be coming.
All right,
yeah,
10 actors who could play the Toretto mom. No, I'm kidding.
I have one more note, and that one note is my 77 ranked women who could play Dom's mom. Number 77. Joe, do you have any more notes?
No, I cut mine in as we were talking.
Listeners of the show, please email the show with your best suggestion for who could play the Toretto mother.
Diane Lane. Always.
highschoolslumberparty@gmail.com. It's highschoolslumberparty@gmail.com.
Please, I'll read it on air. No one will care on my show, but I'll read it on air. How about Diane Keaton?
No.
All right.
I don't think so.
Stop.
It's just, although I would love to see a 7-year-old Dom Toretto in New York in Annie Hall with the tennis rackets and the lobsters, and Dom just running around in the background. That would be cool.
How about Rita Moreno? That would add the Latin flair.
I think they've like casting flirted with Rita Moreno. I think they've mentioned her, and I think there's quotes out there that she has said that she would love to, or something like that. Ooh. So I think that's actually like a possibility.
Grandma Toretto, I love it.
Well, Grandma Toretto. I mean, I guess Grandma to Baby Brian.
Yeah. I would like to call her Granny Toretto.
Time to play. This ain't no 10-second race, a.k.a. Boy Do We Have a Podcast for You.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah. This
is where we go on twitter.com, a.k.a. the Bird app. Find any tweet from someone we don't know who might be interested in listening to our show. Tweet at them, say, boy, do we have a podcast for you, and customize it if we want, and go from there. Game, as everybody knows, is very, very hard, but we try our very, very best. And let us review while you two look for tweets. I found one, but let's look for tweets, and I will review last time we played with Drea Clark on Furious 7. I found, recommended for you at the Matt Moen, 10 theme ideas for the next Met Gala, The Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Furious 6, blah, 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 F9, The Rainforest. And we said, we don't like to use snub Fast 5, but we're very pro Rainforest. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Nothing. But here's where the real shit, that this guy, we retweeted it, Wes retweeted it, Wes responded to it, and like 4 or 5 people who follow us liked the tweet after we retweeted it. And this guy still did not give a shit. Like, we have never truly, in the history of this game, had as much interaction on a tweet as we did here, and yet I get no points because the Matt Moen does not give a shit.
No. He was just like, look at me blowing up with this tweet.
So, it is what it is. Joe, you found Logan Likes Movies at LVW Likes Movies. F9 is loud, dumb, and fun. Continues the trend of increasingly ridiculous action set pieces that will exhilarate you while leaving you questioning whether there's any sort of logic left in the world the franchise is set in. Get on its wavelength and you'll have a good time. We said we live our life one wavelength at a time. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. You gotta like, but it's from Lane, new patron Lane, not from Logan Likes Movies, so no points to you. Drea found Iffy at Iffy Wadaway, whip dirty but the drip clean, and a picture of him in his car. And we said the podcast dirty but the editing clean. The Drea Clark says hi from this episode. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Gotta like, but from Drea, not from Iffy. So swing and a miss across the board. 0-4-3. Now this time, I found Kate at Adam Carlson Lover. Who's Adam Carlson?
I don't know.
I think
sounds like a guy from the Mythbusters.
Carlson with a C or a K?
Carlsen. The way she spells it, there's nobody famous with that name. So I don't know. Maybe just her boyfriend.
Yeah, maybe.
Aww.
Kate says, so if Fate of the Furious was a submarine and F9 was a rocket, what is 1011 going to be? And I'm going to say Time Machine.
Oh.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. What do you two have for this game?
I'm going to go with VP Sunshine Princess at Sunshine Princess with no U. It is Fast and Furious franchise rankings. Fast and, like the first one, the original. 2 is F5. 3 is Furious 7. 4 is F9. 5 is Too Fast, Too Furious. 6 is Fast and Furious 6. 7 is Tokyo Drift. 7 again is Hobbs and Shaw. 9 is Fast and Furious 8, Fate of the Furious, and 10 is Fast and Furious 4.
Yeah.
Tej and Roman need a spinoff. We love your rankings, and we definitely agree Tej and Roman need a spinoff. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. She's a made-for-TV movie waiting to happen, but for now you can catch her on OnlyFans.
Is this somebody that you follow? No, you don't.
No, I don't. I just found this tweet.
She's on OnlyFans?
Yeah.
I thought you made that up.
No, that's what her bio says. I was reading it, yeah.
So I will be playing for myself and charity today. So, so that means I have 2 tweets. One's for my own score, and one is for charity.
Sure.
Charity is a very important cause. So this is for myself. Sending this one.
I'm going to put in parentheses, Brian parentheses, charity. So this is you. This is you.
This
okay.
is me, yes.
All right. Hit us with this one. This is from a year ago.
At Vin Diesel, at MRod Official, I'm assuming that's Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yep.
At The Rock. When do we get the Fast and Furious where Toretto gets hit by a car while walking his dog, which I do not approve, goes to the afterlife, has to win races to come back for revenge, only to find it's Hobbs' grandmother that had a stroke while on her Sunday drive?
Whoa.
What?
What the hell is this?
Did you search Fast and Furious walking dogs?
No, I put Fast and Furious grandmother, and I found this one, and I'm like,
Oh.
that's wacky as hell. So
It is.
I don't want to play this one for charity because it's fucked up. So I'll play this one for me.
So
Okay.
what do you want to say? We like it. We retweet it. But what do we want to say to Stuart? How are we going to customize this tweet to get Stuart interested in our pod?
Stuart, dogs should never die in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Much like Han never did.
Yeah, that's good. Much like Han never did. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Cool.
Sorry for intruding.
Oh no, that was great.
Thank you.
And I started with Stuart with a period. Full complete sentence. Stuart.
Just full addressing him. Yeah.
Stuart. Dogs should never die in the Fast and Furious franchise, much like Han never did. Okay. And which one are you playing for charity? Okay, we got Arthur D. Let's hit us with the charity tweet.
This was my real grandma tweet. This is the real one because I wanted to see if anyone had ever casted Grandma Toretto, and Arthur D did. Next in F10, we learn that Maggie Smith plays Dom Toretto's grandma. She forced him to have some broccoli when he was a kid, and he didn't like it at all. Now he wants vengeance.
And how do you want to respond to Arthur D?
I guess the broccoli was as bad as the tuna at something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Ooh, good one. Professor McGonagall as Dom's grandma.
I'm saying I guess the broccoli must have been as bad as the tuna at Toretto's Market Cafe. Boy, do we have a podcast
Perfect.
for you. Now,
are
Brian,
good.
we have one more game to play, which we did not play last time.
'Kay.
Because the episode was getting long. But we are going to play... Dude, where's my car? What's my car? Sorry, dude, what's my car? That's the name of the game, not the actual thing.
Dude, what?
My car.
What?
Your car, dude.
From January 12th of this year, do you want to play the game? Do you want to guess the car, or do you want me to help give me? Do you want to help me give clues to Joe?
I don't know cars. I'm going to help you give clues.
Subject line. This is from Jerry Robinson, sent in January of this year. Car pick, and if you use this one, if you can, use this during a Tokyo Drift lap. Well, sorry.
Whoops.
I mean, this is the Tokyo Drift lap was because it was supposed to be the lap that F9 came out in, right? But
This is the lap that F9 came out in.
so it's not the Tokyo Drift lap, but it's also,
bonus.
He says, fourth one, I owe you guys a garage full of cars, and here you go. This is a...
Japanese car.
I would assume so. Yes, it is a company that I've never heard of, but their name literally means, and this is a huge clue, Child's Dream.
Child's Dream?
Child's Dream. Child apostrophe S, Dream. Child's Dream. This was a prototype sports car from this company, exhibited at the 48th Geneva Auto Show in 1978. The project for this car was started by Minoru Hayashi in 1975 with the goal of producing sports cars using knowledge gained from auto racing. This car was to be their first production road car, and the company planned to produce a limited number for sale in Japan, despite multiple prototypes and homologation efforts. What is this? Granting of approval by an official authority. So they kept trying to get it approved, I guess.
Okay.
It was never approved by regulatory bodies for sale in Japan or overseas. As a result, the project was not commercially viable, and this car never entered series production. So, Joe, we're looking for a car that apparently was in production for 12 years somehow from a company I've never heard of that was never for sale and really kind of only at car shows.
Here's my clues, my extra clues.
Yes, please.
It shares a name with a famous World War II airplane. So if you know your World War II airplanes,
The make or the model?
The model.
Okay.
B-52.
No. I don't.
We also would have gone a totally different way to get you to guess B-52s. Like,
Yes,
I
I'm
am
sure,
living
I know.
on Channel Z, which is also a clue for this.
This car is featured in a bunch of video games, according to Wikipedia. Sega GT 2002, Gran Turismo 4 and 5 among them, and 6.
It was in an episode of the anime Yatterman. There's also a car resembling this was in season 2, episode 3 of Danger 5.
2 shows I've never seen, but it was in Gran Turismo 4. I just saw a commercial for what Gran Turismo 7's coming out, Joey, or 8.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't play those, but yeah, 7 or 8, I think. I think 8, I think.
And I so was tempted to be like, it comes out in March, and I was like, God damn it, I need a PlayStation to play Gran Turismo. It was in 4 or 5. I don't think I played 4 or 5. I stopped at 3.
4 was on the PS2.
I played
4
3
came out in 2004.
Yeah.
5 came out in 2010.
Yeah, I definitely didn't play that one.
6 came out in 2013. Yeah, I think it's Gran Turismo.
In the Transformers universe.
Oh no, 7 is the one that's coming out next. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead. Transformers universe.
It's in the Transformers universe. There's a Transformer based on this car, and his name is Rodimus Prime.
Yeah.
Rodimus.
This car is silver, Joe. It kind of looks like a spaceship. It kind of looks like Kit if Kit got flattened a little bit. It kind of looks like a DeLorean if a DeLorean
I was just
got
going to
flattened
say
a little bit.
that was going. I don't know if you even know this car, obviously, but I would say it is definitely the Japanese DeLorean because of the story and look and everything like that.
Does it have gull-wing doors?
It's hard to tell because the doors are closed.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised. No, I think they open normally.
Child's Dream. I have no idea.
I mean, the
American,
the American company name does not mean Child's Dream.
No.
I think the Japanese translation means Child's Dream, and they just translated it to a different word altogether in English.
But it's an American company, so you
No,
know
it's
the
a Japanese company. No.
No.
That was the first clue. I don't know the company.
Okay, so this is really hard.
This is not a known car. This is not like you have to be
deep, lost in the sauce.
top 1% car knowledge, I think.
Two-door car, supercar, 1978, produced until 86, 75 to 86. Though it's clear the doors are scissor doors,
What does that mean?
so they do go up. They do go up.
Yeah, gull-wing.
Also called flap wing, wing doors, beetle wing doors, turtle doors, switchblade doors, swing up doors, upswing doors, Lamborghini doors, and Lambo doors.
So, and it shares the name with the main Japanese fighter of World War II. The model name, not the make.
I have no idea. Can you guys tell me what it is?
It is the Dome Zero. Maybe Dome Zero? Dome Zero.
Definitely Dome Zero.
Was a prototype car from Dome Company Limited. Literally child's dream.
It's pretty badass looking. You're right. It has like a big like Japanese DeLorean feel to it. This should have been in like the movie. What was like? Not like. Yeah, maybe RoboCop. This seems like a car for RoboCop.
RoboCop takes place in Detroit. Like that's all American-made
Good
cars.
point.
You
But
can't
I
have
mean,
a
like that
Japanese
kind
car.
of vibe. This
Sure.
very futuristic, but also from the '80s. Like what the future looked like in the '80s to it.
Sure.
Joe,
situation.
look up that anime Yataman that Joey said. Look up Yataman Dome Zero. Like, I'm not into anime, but it looks badass in this thing.
Ooh, yeah, that's cool looking.
Dome Zero and Yataman.
Yattaman.
Here.
Oh,
There
fuck
you go.
yeah. With this, like,
I
kind of
also-
skull thing on the front of it, too. Yeah.
Just saw a headline. Ludacris said he'd, quote, love to see Meadow Walker join the Fast and the Furious franchise. She's a phenomenal person, he says. She has those great genetics, and I would love to see it. That's all I can say. I can't confirm or deny. I'm hearing the rumors as well, but I know her personally, and her heart is made of gold.
I mean,
That's a good play by them, to be honest.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, you can't really say the opposite. Like, you know what? She doesn't cut the mustard.
She's a bag of shit. I knew that girl for a long time, and, like, she sucks. Yeah, like, of course he's good. But, like, also, it's a really good play. Like, we talked about Cody Walker joining the franchise, but, like, Meadow joining the franchise is a really, really smart
Yeah,
move.
you keep Paul's legacy going on without
Yes.
undermining or undercutting the farewell to Brian.
Yes, yep. I
And you
didn't
can just be like,
consider this.
Mia, sorry, Brian slept around. Here's his daughter. She's
yeah,
not
you could
your
have like
kid.
a real Dom situation, right? Like he didn't know that he had this daughter. from
Oh,
when-
it's with Girl. It's with Minka Kelly.
oh, Minka Kelly's her mom.
And people are like, Minka Kelly comes back to like, Minka Kelly was in these movies. It's like, let me explain to you.
there was
The
there
6-minute turbocharged prelude to Too Fast, Too Furious.
becomes the most important part of the franchise for the next
Yeah, man.
movie. I'd love it.
Because she's the only other woman in the entire franchise that Brian has ever like shown affection to.
No.
Maybe Eva Mendes?
Definitely
Maybe.
Eva Mendes.
Oh, that's true. I forgot the movie that we're breaking down minute by minute, and like she was just in this episode.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Brian, thank you for joining. That's a way to edit all that out. Brian, thank you for joining. What do you want to plug?
Well, I have
Other than other podcasts that are competitor stars.
I'd like to plug my show, which is called High School Slumber Party. The both of you have been on. Joey, kind of recently, right? You were on for Twin Peaks Firewalk with me, and
Yeah.
Joe too. Of course, you've been on our Twilight Lap, and we got to do another one of those because as I'm at my desk here in my apartment.
Good, say it, because I'm going to
in
tell you
Twilight
a fun story
HQ?
too.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying the maid who cleans my apartment every 2 weeks must think I am insane with all these packs of Twilight cards. this poster that Kate Hudson made me buy.
Yo, so wait. So Rachel comes home from the store yesterday, and she has a frame for the poster that Kate Hudson made me buy.
Oh my god!
So it's gonna be framed soon. Like she has like a frame that fits, and she's getting ready to frame it. So
Definitely take pictures. So we have so
Of
much.
course.
We have so much fun in it. And if you're a Fast and Furious fan and you're like, why would I watch Twilight? That seems dumb. Shame on you. They're such similar franchises. They have the equal amount of rewatchability. A lot of cars in it. A lot of all those. But and it's just a fun time, and we have such a fun time. You, I, and Kate Hudson. We buy a lot of stuff on the pod.
a lot of random Twilight shit.
We
do.
mostly make Kate buy things, to be fair, but sometimes we have to buy things, and that's fun too. But when does this episode come out? Do you know?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So the episode that I have.
Well, because right now, as we're recording this, you have 240. Oh, wait, do you count the AP episodes as
I
being
do.
numbers? Or
I
no?
do. Yes, and the regular feed
So
I do count.
this Friday will be 249. So will yesterday have been number 250? You have a bonus 250, or is this upcoming Friday a 250 episode?
There's no don't make me do that. As of this recording, we're not really celebrating 250. We might just have a nice tip hat to it. I don't really want. I know 250 is 25% to 1,000. Thinking about doing 1,000 episodes is pretty daunting.
Well, by 1,000, you'll have completed High School Slumber Party and then done College Slumber Party. You'll be into Graduate Slumber Party.
Yes. What am I doing with my life slumber party? Why am I still having slumber parties?
Entry-level job slumber party where you have receded in your professional career back to that point because you cannot do anything other than watch, like, I don't know, Office Space. I'll do that.
pretty
when you get
much.
entry-level slumber party, I will do Office Space.
Episode number 1000 has to be Office Space, right?
I have a list though of movies for that post-college malaise, so don't worry. I do. Like, I'm more interested in that than college, to be honest with you. St. Elmo's Fire.
So College Dropout, baby.
College Dropout, yeah. Ooh, we have a whole soundtrack for it.
Yeah, do like 6 months of college movies so that I can talk about Everybody Wants Some and It Follows, and then say you're dropping out and then stop covering college movies.
That's a good play. I really like that.
That is a good play.
Just do it until you're done and be like, I fucked up this semester. I was watching
You could
too
also
many
do,
movies.
after high school, you do a gap year podcast where you're like, I'm doing like Wild starring Reese Witherspoon and like other movies and like Into the Wild and all these movies where people just explore and go on
Pray,
their
Love.
own. Charlie Countryman.
But Joey, you're going to be on Everybody Wants Some when Cousin Pumpkin and I, for next baseball season, do our 162 baseball movies.
Are you actually doing that?
I don't have the time. I wish I did. If I won the lottery, I would do it. But anyway.
That's such a pathetic dream, but I admire it.
I have pathetic dreams. Anyway. After this episode on Friday, we will be talking The Craft with Aislinn Addington and Jenny O'Connell.
Is episode 250.
That's episode 250. It might be. It might not be because you've tempted me, Joey.
Okay.
And then on the 18th, which is Monday for High School Slumber Party AP, we're talking The Craft Legacy. So
wait, you got a bonus AP this month?
Yeah, a bonus AP because it's Halloween.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Brian, the fans want to know what happened to the Black Teen Experience.
Kirkland has been very, very busy for reasons we'll reveal later, but we've been talking about some new episodes. It's coming back, but we work on Kirkland time. So
okay,
I really can't do a Black Teen Experience episode without him.
Right. That kind of would I get it.
Although you could be like Kirkland, I'm so sorry, but I have Dawson Black now, and they talk about the wood. They want to talk about the wood, and so you're gone. Sorry, man.
No, yeah, I'm not going to do that to him, but We like to record in bunches, so we'll record another bunch of them, and we'll have a good time. But yeah, the Black Teen Experience is awesome. And if you haven't seen The Wood, by the way, or listened to that episode, that is a movie that white people need to see, because I feel like only black people have watched The Wood. I know that's a generalization, but that's what even Kirkland said. So,
well, the day after The Craft Legacy comes out, our next episode, Joe, Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. And I'm looking at my notes, and I almost cannot believe that our guest, for some reason, once again, this fucking guy, Brian Rodriguez, back again next week. No time off. Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, a movie I've never seen.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know that reference.
Well, you'll know it by the next episode. And Joey, please don't Scott Eastwood me. I hope I can still make that Talladega Nights episode. Put me in the sequel here. So
you're flying cross country back to where Dom Toretto grew up. You are not going. You're going to be closer to 1327 than we've ever been in recording the episodes, at least. So of course, you're going to be on there.
Can't wait.
Thank you for all things. Too Fast, 2 Forever. You go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/2fast2forever, or at 2fast2forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at 2fast2forever.com and our store at 2fast2forever.shop. Once again, shout out to Lane for joining the Patreon.
Thanks, Lane. Stickers
in the mail that you will have received months or years ago by the time you get to this episode, as you are catching up and currently in lap 3 before we hit the NOS and did like 60 episodes one lap. So,
yeah, that's right.
I'm sure he might be like, hey, I'm flying through this. It's like, well, just wait till the pandemic, baby, because a lot going on. Check out High School Slumber Party. Come back next week for Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, with the aforementioned Brian Late Night Slumber Party Rodriguez. Oh, shit, it's Brian. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
You gonna say it?
Oh.
Only you and Mike have that privilege, and neither of you ever remember it.
And I'm... Sorry. And I'm Brian Rodriguez, and I do want to say one more thing. I would like to...
No, that's not how this works.
I just forgot to do this. I would like to give a thank you and a shout out to my wife, Nicole, who
good call.
Parked our car in the least Fast and Furious move ever. Parked our car so I could make it and do this podcast. So thank you, Nicole. I know you're a huge listener of Too Fast, Too Forever. So.
I hope she wasn't granny shifting, double clutching when she shouldn't, etc., etc. We'll tell you all about it
when we see you again.